Hello, everyone. Um, I think we may start. It's about time. It's 6. Well, it's 3 p.m. in London. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending who you are, where you are. Today, we have an online presentation of Timur Akhmedjanov comic book, which is Elish and the Wicker Tale. I will tell you a little bit about the comics. It's the book itself. The book itself was written by Kamran Salayev. This amazing book is about a young boy, Elish, who has trouble communicating and dealing with the world around him. Elish's behavior and insecurities mirror those of the children around the world who suffer from autism. Just like Elish, children with autism find it hard to understand, to relate to people, so they end up devoting their time to something they can understand. Usually a hobby or craft such as wicker making. Salayev's goal, Kamran Salayev's goal is to promote awareness of this subject through his book. And Timur Akhmedjanov, who is our honored guest today, got inspired by this story that led him to create a comic book. And through this project that was placed on Indiegogo platform, which got supported by more than 200 people around the world. People from 16 countries were able to donate money, not only for the publication of the comic book, but also 20% will be given to charities that supports children with autism. But before I'll pass the microphone to our speakers of today's meeting, please let me show you 2 videos that will present the main idea of the comic book.
My name is Timur Akhmedjanov, and I'm a senior student at Rugby School, Thailand. Since spring 2020, I've been working on a graphic novel, an adaptation of Kamran Salayev's book, Elish and the Wicker Tale. It follows a boy whose name is Elish, who has certain insecurities and finds it quite difficult to communicate to people. However, it's getting past those insecurities, going outside his comfort zone, that he eventually finds friends and people who care about him and goes out on an adventure to save the world. The thing with the main character is he mirrors his attitudes and his behaviors mirror that of children that are suffering from autism all over the world. Kamran Salayev is a children's psychologist, and through his book he wants to promote and kind of gain awareness of children suffering with autism. And I find Kamran Salayev's cause very admirable, and I myself tried to tackle this endeavor myself by writing my own graphic novel. I want it to be something that through visual means can entertain children that might not be able to easily process as many words that well. And I also want people of all ages to enjoy it overall, to kind of understand children like these more, and also understand how to help these children. And that's my goal. And by the end of summer 2020, around July, I'm hoping to finish the first issue of the comic and send it out.
Do we have another video?
No, you have only one video about Elish.
Okay, so I saw lots of people join us now, and from now on, I'd like to pass the microphone to our honored guest, Matt Savage. He is an American musician and composer, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name or last name. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Angelina. It's an honor to be a part of this. And yes, you did get my name right. It's Matt Savage. Yeah, I just want to say it's a big honor to be a part of this project and this conference too. I really love that it's an international collaboration, and that it's being done in graphic novel form to encourage those of us with an acuity for visual things and organization to be inspired by the message of this book. I really like how Elish or Elish, not sure honestly. Really love how Elish helps uh, how he uses his skills practically in the wider world, and and uh, and for the defense of his little town uh, and his community. And what I love about this book is its commitment to the sense of being an artisan, because we live in a world that's more intensely it's more intensely specialized, and yet more multitask oriented than ever. So in this more fast paced world, we often find difficulty appreciating or believing in what it means to be a craftsman or craftsperson, someone who really takes time and dedicates his or her work uh, to to one's handiwork, to one's artistry, to one's sense of innovation, and continuing to move the world forward. So I'm really glad that this book helps really focuses on the individual character and the knowledge of the main character, and I also like how it seems to be part of a series too, with the like with different chapters focusing on different topics, and how it's really important to hone in on the nature of the character. Anything else I should add?
Unless you wanted something to add.
Well, I mean, I'd love to hear about the distribution plans for this graphic novel. So, but I know we'll be discussing that at this conference too.
Yes, I think some questions will definitely come. If you don't mind, I will also, right now, will pass the floor to Timur, the author of the comic book, and he will tell how he came up with this idea, why, what inspired him, and all these details that we are always wanted to know. Please, Timur.
Hello, can you hear me? Is that fine? Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll start from the beginning when I kind of got the idea to make the comic book and illustrate the book itself. I think so. It started when I was first doing a few kind of translation works for a couple of books. A couple of years back, I was translating a few books, a few children's books in particular, from Russian to English. And one of the books that I translated was Elish and the Wicker Tales by Carmen Salaev. And I read it and I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was really good. I liked the way it was laid out and the way that the story played out, and the characters I thought were really interesting. I don't know who might have read the book, but I've even decided to add a little part at the very end of the story, because I really did enjoy translating the whole thing, and I thought it was really interesting. And I think about a year after that or so, after some time has passed, I kind of had the idea to a comic book version of the book, because a comic book version of the original book, because I thought it would be really interesting to see how that would look, because I kind of at the time and right now I really enjoy the format and medium of comics. I've read quite a few from like different worldwide comics, and I really enjoy the way that they, in their own kind of unique way, that's very different from books and films, where everything's laid out in this format where it's quite easy to get through the story. And I thought that something like Elish, with the way it's laid out, like there's like certain story arcs where they travel to different places, I thought that would be really interesting to do in a comic book format. And so and I've kind of I've pitched the idea to Hertfordshire Press, which is the publishing company, and they obviously said that it would be great if I did that. The thing is, the most important thing I think for me is that when I first started writing the comic, I didn't know that much about the fact that it was, I guess, the internal context of it was that it had to do about children who suffering from autism, and children who are inflicted with it. In my first reading of the book, I kind of just I just enjoyed the story in general, but with that extra context, with that extra knowledge, it kind of gave me more of an incentive to write a comic book, because I thought that that with this contextual message in the book that wasn't originally there when I first read it, it kind of gives more reason to why I feel like this comic had to be made, per se. And a large part of that had to do with the crowdfunding campaign that Hertfordshire Press ran, because I thought that it did a really good job to not only show the support of the people who obviously dedicated their time and their support to help out with the project, but it also gave me motivation to write the comic, and also to allow everyone who supported the project and myself to give something back to the charities who are handling these kind of issues. So I thought that kind of gave me some more a better reason to carry on writing the comic for as long as I did, because it was probably one of my longest, most arduous projects that I worked on, because I had to work on the comic for quite a few months over the summer. And so knowing that there was that support, knowing that there were people who really cared about what I was doing, and about the issue that was at hand, that was being tackled, gave me a reason to carry on making it and coming up with the final product at the very end. And yeah, I guess what I want to say at the end is that obviously I really much appreciate the work that Kamran Salaev has put into his book originally, and I'm glad to be able to help him carry on his I guess message to the world, and I'm glad that my comic is kind of able to spread that message across more. I think it's really important to be able to do that. And obviously the most important thing I think is to thank everyone who has supported the project for the period of time that I was making it. It gave me a lot of motivation, but I think at the end of the day, it supports an important cause. And without the people here, and the people who, everyone else who supported it, I don't think that it would have gone as far as it did. So again, everyone, and I hope that for people who have received the comic, that you've really enjoyed it, and that it kind of like reflected what you what you wanted out of the campaign. So yeah, I'll briefly talk about what's to come in the future of the project. So obviously, as you might know, for people who've read the first issue of the first book of the comic, that it's a one part of a much larger part series. And I do plan on carrying on making that series. And I think you know, as long as there's that support there for people to, you know, for people that really care about the topic and really care about the work that's being produced, I'm going to keep trying to make follow through with the comic and I guess get it done at the very end until I can finally manage to complete the series, hopefully. And I believe that the second issue will be starting, I'll be starting it at around springtime, and I think it should be finished around the same time that the first issue was finished. Hopefully I can make it earlier, but it does depend on timing and also other things that are happening in my life. So yeah, I hope you'll be looking forward to that, because that's something that I really want to carry on working on. And yeah, again, I want to thank everyone, and yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timur. And I have one question from myself. How would you describe your comic book in one sentence, briefly, just a couple of words, if someone who doesn't know what it is about?
I guess it's oh, I don't know why that's that's really putting me on the spot. I guess I would describe it kind of like a fun adventure that helps people, that helps children, something like that. I can probably phrase it better, but I think at the end of the day, it's something. Whereas the story obviously can be enjoyed, you know, separately with a context that goes into, you know, the support for, you know, autism and as such. I think the story could very much just be enjoyed by itself, and I think that's great. But I think it's also something that at the end of the day also helps and tries to help people as much as it can. So I would describe it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Matt, if you don't mind answering to one question that came to me. The question is, what would you advise to the children affected by autism? What should society do to make them feel equal to other kids, so they don't feel like they're kind of behind or something like that? So what would your insight on this?
So that's a difficult question. You know, there are many different sides to it too. But one thing that I would say is that the most important thing one can do is to explore their passions and to really find out what makes them excited to live life. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean treating themselves like adults too early, but to be able to find a life calling and a sense of purpose, that's definitely the number one way to go. And I know that firsthand as a pianist and composer. I mean, it's a difficult life being a musician, but it's something that's helped me become the independent adult I am today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Question for Timur. What was the most challenging thing for you emotionally while making this comic book?
I think the most, I guess, emotionally difficult thing. Well, I mean, so I guess if we're talking about emotionally, because it's quite different to obviously practically. Practically also, of course, be the process of actually making a comic. But I guess emotionally, it was more of an idea of like I said before, motivation to work on the comic and carry on the comic. Because for me, as much as I do like obviously illustration, as much as I do like drawing, it was quite a large project, and obviously there was a lot of pressure to obviously follow through with, you know, releasing it on time and making it really good quality. And I think certainly the most difficult challenge for me was you know, to consistently produce good work. And as I was working on the comic, you know, every page had to be of high quality, and I had to make sure that you know, I was working as hard as I can on that. And as much as I thought that there was a lot of because obviously I haven't done anything like that before. Yeah, and as much as I thought there was a lot of pressure with the campaign, I also thought that it was a large portion of my motive that I was doing. And so yeah, that's what pushed me through to the end and pushed me through to finish it and obviously complete the comic so that it can be published.
Okay, thanks a lot. We have one question from Simon Lord. He's saying, yes, well done, Timur. How do you plan to distribute the book? Maybe there is a lot of scope through social media sites dedicated to autism in some capacity. I haven't researched, but I'm sure that there must be a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, well, I don't really do too much of the distribution side. I'm just more of the creator personally. If I think that question applies more to the publishing house and the people who have started the campaign. For me, I don't do promoting and distributing side myself. But I guess if I was to do it, like, you know, just in general, it would probably be, I guess, promoting it on that, you know, people use quite a bit, and where what you say kind of gets across with the outlook, something like obviously Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where, you know, when you post something, a lot of the people in the similar circles and people who you tag will also see that post, and obviously it gets spread around a lot more. So a lot of people, I guess, are drawn to what was in the post, the idea, and that kind of was up for the project. That is, you know, if I did that kind of stuff, which I don't do too much of, I'm not really in charge of the distribution. So, but that's how I would like go about kind of like doing it. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Matt, I'd like to also ask you, as a musician and composer, what inspires you? Is it something inside or outside?
Well, a lot of the inspiration for my pieces, it comes from the places I've been to. Like, I've played on several continents so far, and I also enjoy hiking and skiing, like just going to the mountains a lot. So that's been a big source of inspiration too. And you know, a lot of times, especially with jazz, like there's a sort of a shorter melodic idea that helps influence the composition of everything else. So so that helps a lot. Like kind of building everything off of a particular phrase, and you know, jazz music, it's very improvisational. So a lot of times each concert will sort of depend on the energy level of the musicians in the room and the audience too.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Simon, you want to say something? Please, floor is yours.
Yeah. Timur, so just a few more comments. Again, well done. First thing is, I haven't, first impressions, general impressions, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. First point is, I get the impression if it works as a comic, it could work as an animated film. So maybe for the future, that could be something to explore. I get the impression also it's a kind of like allegorical story of the journey of an autistic person. So that there might be a lot of some demand for it, some interest in it from us, you know, groups that are interested in autism, for example. So yeah, could you talk about the kind of journey? Because I get the impression it's a kind of allegorical journey of an autistic person.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, talk a bit more about that.
I can talk about that just in the context of the story. Yeah. So obviously, for anyone who hasn't either read the comic or read the book, the story follows a small boy named Elish who is, I guess, he very much distances himself from the people around him, and he gets very focused on doing the one task that he really likes, and which is wickering in his case. And in some way, because of the way he is, he treats this talent, this kind of talent of his, as almost like an escape from the world around him, a world that he doesn't understand. And it's quite difficult for him to talk to the people around him, talk to people and relate to them in the same way as everyone else does. And he had a lot of the time he feels like he's obviously being treated differently. He's being treated not the same as everyone else, and he can't understand why and how exactly to deal with it. And the story follows his adventure through kind of like the land that exists in the story, where he's called to adventure unexpectedly due to certain circumstances. And it's up to him, and it's up to the people around him, the friends that he obviously meets along the way and he goes with, to understand the world, understand the people, but also to kind of show to the world that despite his differences, he can also make a big change and help everyone, because it's through his work and through his talents that he's able to eventually save the world at the very end. And I think it's that message, that allegorical message, that despite your differences, despite the fact that things might be different for you compared to everyone else, and it can be difficult at times, that you can still push through in the end, and you can show the world that your talent and your I guess ideas have something to show for it at the very end. So I think that's what the most important aspect of it is. Yep. You have something to say?
Briefly, yeah, it sounds to me like a kind of encouraging message to autistic people, but I also think it really could work as an animated film.
Yeah. So this was something that was brought up in another presentation that I did. And I think I answered to a similar extent, where I said that I think that under the right hands, and obviously, under the people who obviously understand the business and the medium of animation quite well, it could work. And I think that, if it gains enough attention per se, I think, because for me, I don't know that much about animation in general, so I do have to collaborate and find some people to work on it if I ever decide that this is something that
I think you have something a little bit technical problem.
Yeah, apparently Timur has left. I'm sure he will join us soon. Maybe some technical internet problem. From now on, because I have some questions for Timur, while he's joining us again, I'd like to pass a word to the publisher of the Hertfordshire Press, Timur Akhmedjanov. Please, could you say some words about this publication and so on?
Thank you very much, all our guests today. Thank you, Matt, for joining us, and to Timur, Bajen, and Angelina, and everyone who supported this event. It was a great journey, which started almost a year ago. The team came up with several illustrations to the book and decided to do a comic. So we turned in his kind of art passion into the book project. And we did with support of Eurasian Creative Guilds, a non-profit organization established 5 years ago, which unites artistic people all over the world. So we organized crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. Was very lucky. We raised over £4,000, which allows us to publish the book. We also allocated 20% of the funds to give directly to the charities, and we started to do so here in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. We had the first presentation with a charity who deals with children with autism, and we donated 11,000 som. We also will do the same in UK, in Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, and other countries wherever we go with the book launches. And it was our first projects. We working on similar projects as Team done. The next project which we do is the book called Final. It's a comic created by Daniel Ahmed, who is a 12-year-old boy. He dedicated this book to the charities who deals with cancer. And while Tim is joining us, I would like to ask Angelina to show a short video, the dedication of the next project. We're also raising funds on Indiegogo. It's called the Final. I'm sure you will enjoy it.
Hello there, my name is Daniel Akhmed, and for the past 4 to 5 months, I've been working on writing and drawing my very own comic called The Final. The Final is a story I've had around brewing in my mind for a very long time now, and over the course of the year, the story has changed quite a bit, but the basic story was made around August 2016. But what is The Final about? Follow Steve Mile, a teenager of a dangerously short temper, and his best friend John, as they join a summer camp called Jackswood. But after a few hours there, it becomes clear that Jackswood is understaffed and is really only running from the enthusiasm from its founder and camp leader, Mr. Chang. And the more time they spend there, the more it becomes clear that Jackswood isn't just filled with the strangest people on Earth, but also that Jackswood isn't everything it seems. What's in Volume 1? Volume 1 is really a bigger introduction to the bigger story that establishes most of the characters' personalities and the different tones the story dwells, from a jokey fun ride through the activities as well as the darker tone inside the forest. I also think the ending is a perfect way to set up the real action for this bigger narrative. Hello there, my name is Daniel Akhmed. My comic The Final is dedicated to my grandfather Timur Akhmedjanov. He was affected by a rare type of cancer called thyroid cancer. He obtained this type of cancer from exposure to radiation. When he was in the military, he was sent to build in the Baikonur Cosmodrome and helped launch a spacecraft that led Yuri Gagarin, first man to go to space. But a great achievement came with a price. And back then, they had no protective gear to shelter from the radiation of the rocket's fuel. This led to my grandpa receiving thyroid cancer, which resulted in his death 3 years before I was born. And I never got to see him. And let's just say there's an uncanny similarity to the story beyond Volume 1 of The Final. This is why I want to raise money for charities that are beating cancer to help children like me to be able to know their grandparents and other relatives have been affected with cancer of any type.
So I hope you enjoyed our next projects. We're gonna raise money until mid-January and plan to publish and launch the book later in March 2021. Going back to the Elish and Wicker Tales, as I've seen, there was several questions about sequel. Yes, Timur is working on the second part of the book, which probably also will come up later in August or September 2021. Thanks to our members, and one of them is here, Nargiza Karasartova, we're translating Elish and Wicker Tale in Russian, and also with the help of our members in Kyrgyzstan, we will do it in Kyrgyz language, and with help of Zauria Turihan also in Kazakh. So if there's anyone who is would like to volunteer and translate book into other languages, it will be great. We can publish it electronically, and also we will try to raise funds to publish book in other languages in print, which also will help to distribute the information about children with autism and help them in different languages. Team, I think, is struggling with getting back on internet.
I'm here.
Back now. Okay,
Team,
I'm passing
my internet cut
you.
out.
Yeah, and there is also one question for Timur, which is from Bakhtigul. She's asking, is there anything you would like to improve in this book, comic book?
Improve?
Improve.
Oh, improve. I mean, yeah, I think for me, obviously, with my art and the way it is, I think that it's the best I've done for that specific, obviously, project, for that, for the comic. But I do hope it's something that I can improve drawing on. I can improve, I guess, you know, drawing better in general, and because I do feel like there's a lot of aspects of you know, my art that can be improved, and it's something that obviously I hope to do as I learn more and as I get older, and I hopefully want to see that change progressively get better in my in the series as I continue it. So even if it does look a bit different by the end, I do hope it's a positive change and something that, you know, I can look back on and, you know, see that progression of, you know, my art slowly improving as the comics go on. So yeah.
Okay, I'd like to say, if someone have any questions, please raise your hand if you want to speak, or just message on the chat box. And from now on, I have last question, which is, do you have any your own comic books, or only it's inspired by books, different authors?
So are you asking, like, do I have any of my own, like, comic book ideas?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I have a few ideas myself that I've wanted to explore, you know, in comic book form, kind of something I've been developing over time as the, you know, as the years have gone by, and something that I want to eventually show in my comic books or in some other medium. I do feel like the stories that you know, I have kind of planned are something that I do want to convey at some point in my life. I think right now I mostly want to focus on, obviously, Elish and the Wicker Tales and finishing that series, and I do hope that it will the comic will help me grow, you know, as a storyteller and as an artist, so that when I finally do write my own projects, it can be, you know, as best as I would like it to be, because I do feel like I'm lacking some experience right now that I think is necessary for, you know, when I'm ready to tell my own stories. Yeah. And I think there was also something about inspiration as well. Like what kind of things inspired me, from what I understand. I guess in terms of inspiration, I don't really have any specific people or specific, I guess, comic book artists that I've looked up to, but I think a lot of obviously some of the American and a lot of obviously the Japanese comic book authors. I think they have very unique ways of they have very unique style, very unique way of storytelling that I kind of wanted to, I guess, convey in my own stories as well, in my own comics. So that's kind of what I would say the general inspiration is for me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So from now on, we don't have any questions for Timur or any other speakers. So I guess I will pass the floor to the publisher Timur Akhmedjanov, and if he decides to give a final speech, we will wrap it up.
Thank you very much, Angelina and Bajena, for helping us with the Eurasian Creative Guild and the Hertfordshire Press. As I said, it was our first comic book, which we did with a fundraising campaign. We worked on the second one. We're open to any other suggestions. So if you've got a good idea which will benefit the society, and we can try to fundraise and publish the book, be it a comic or be it an album or be it a children's story, please do contact us. As Eurasian Creative Guild, we run several different campaigns and events. For example, we do have Open Eurasia Literary Festival and competition, where writers, illustrators, translators can submit the works, and it's assessed by a jury panel, and we choose up to 10 winners and provide, thanks to our sponsors, the grants which goes towards the publication of the books. So if you're a creative person and you would like to join the guild and be promoted through the guild activities, please do so. My colleagues will leave a link to Eurasian Creative Guild website in the chat, and it will be good if you will join us as a participant, as a member, or as a supporter and a donor. But for now, if there's no more questions, and if Timur, do you want to add anything, or you've done?
Yeah, no, I'm mostly done. I think I've told everything that I need to. I guess the final thing I would say is that, like, again, I want to thank everyone, because I do feel like that's the most important aspect of the project. It's the support of the other people, because I feel like obviously me working on by itself and it being kind of like a passion project and it being something that, you know, I want to do by myself is obviously very important for me, you know, as, you know, someone who wants to develop their art, their storytelling. But I think it's the support of everyone, and it's this I guess it's this culmination of people who want to see a change in the world that's very important. And yeah, without the help of the people here, I think the project wouldn't be where it is today, and it would have been, you know, done as well as it has. So yeah, again, I want to thank everyone for the final time. Thank you.
Okay, but we have one question for you, which is from Dana. She's asking, will you be making a film or TV series based on your story? But
I think this is a similar question I had before.
Yeah,
it's something that I obviously right now I am obviously you know, still in university per se, and I'm kind of, my main topic of study is film, and that's something that I do want to follow through, along with my work with you know, drawing and illustration as well. But I do feel like it's something that I have to understand a lot better, understand how it all works, because I feel like there's a lot of potential for, obviously, as said before, maybe like a TV, movie, or animated series, but it does take a lot of I guess dedicated preparation for that to make it work, and it might be something I guess in the future that is possible to be made, but right now I want to focus most of my efforts on, obviously, continuation of the comic, and if that opportunity arises to make a motion picture per se of the comic book, then you know, weigh out my choices and honestly choose it if I feel like it's the right thing to do. So yeah.
Yeah, well said. So I think I would like to thank each and everyone for your time and for being with us. It really matters to us. And thank you so much once again. And please, we'll be happy to contact with you anytime. If you have any questions, there is all links in the chat. So please see them unless the meeting is over. And thank you once again. Have a great time, day, weekend, whatever you are. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yep, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.